Hello and welcome to this episode's Let's Talk About Mental Health. This was a little bit different because we know it is exam season. I didn't even introduce myself. I am Bandy, your Rusi Welfare Officer. Exams are just awful. They're just the worst thing on earth. I'm not going to even lie to you. They're just bloody awful. I definitely know how you felt. I was in your boat last year, but these are some of the just really simple, easy exam tips that I can give you that basically helped me not have a mental breakdown by the end of the year. So they're like just 3 to 4 really simple pieces of advice is that I highly recommend, even though if you're not a planning person, don't like timetables or calendars, there is an academic planner or calendar you can get from the library. Is for free if you're already a university student, is to make sure you plan out like when your exams are and then kind of work backwards. And that's where the advice I got from Study Advice, that is within the library. You can literally book a 30-minute appointment to help you kind of figure out how to study, basically. So what I did basically, which might not work for you, is that I found out the deadline or like the dates of my exams, and then I just kind of worked backwards. I kind of planned like when I should be I did psychology, so it was a lot more essay based and like learning and retaining information, but I'd work back from there, have time to like write essays, to memorize, but also, yeah. So personally, like for me on how to deal with the exam stress, it was just for like seeing when my exams were and just planning generally how I was going to revise and how much time I had to revise was so helpful in helping me to actually deal with the stress, because once I had it written down, visualized on like a little like calendar thing, it just mentally kind of put me at bay. It's kind of like the same thing of like journaling out all your feelings into a page, and it's just kind of like a cathartic way of like letting go. And that was like for me, because I think for me I was just stressing about like, when am I going to start revising, like how long do I have, and like you just have all these questions. So if you are really like stuck with that and would want some help, I highly recommend going to Study Advice because they are bloody fantastic. And or going to your academic tutor or lecturer who can kind of help you out with that as well. And the kind of second tip to help you stay motivated and stay concentrated is that I know that, I'm not sure about Androids, I'm so sorry, but I know for iPhones you can time lock yourself out of certain apps, which is basically for free. There is an app called Forest that I use personally during my final year, is that I timed how long, for example, I had like an hour revision session and then a 5-minute break. And then it kind of is like a really cute app with a little tree, and then if you go off the app your tree dies. So there's like motivation to stay on the app and make sure your tree doesn't die. So yeah, so I will link down the Forest app link down below. But for me, my biggest distractor was my phone. So yeah. And also, like, I know for some people they like completely like just don't go on social media for 2 months, but I know for me, like, I personally like to have a little bit of a scroll in the evenings, and I think that is perfectly allowed. Like, I think it's all about balance, and if you have to take measures of putting your phone in a different room or like just having it as a ward for like break times, really recommend that. The third thing I recommend is that, oh my god, so simple, but please take breaks while you are revising. You are not a robot machine that can work for 24/7 and memorize X, Y, and Z. Like, your brain, in order to remember things and memorize things and implement things into long-term memory, this is what I learned in my degree, you need sleep. You need good 8 hour sleep. And if you are having difficulties getting to sleep because you're sedentary, 9 to 5, just, you know, just sitting at a desk working. Recommend some bit of exercise, even if it is just walking for an hour, bit of yoga for 20 minutes to kind of keep active. I know for me personally, like, I found it really hard to get to sleep over in the summer term because it was really light, and that kind of messed with my body clock, and I just was a lot more sedentary in general, so it just got me, I just found it so hard to like get to sleep. But yes, and also just remember, like, with the whole productivity thing, like with revision, it can be really easy for you to like really be hard on yourself if one day you just don't like do anything or learn anything or get anywhere, or if you're finding it really hard to like find journals, and that just takes up a lot of your time. And that goes back to the first point that I made by planning. So I planned for instance, for a module to have about 2 weeks to spend on it, 2 to 3 weeks to like learn it and write essay questions and stuff. But I also added in time for 1 or 2 days, for instance, that might be ill, or I might have to go to the doctors, or if I just didn't get anything done that day because I just didn't feel like it. Like, you need to add wiggle time, essentially. I add this into my work life. Like, I always have about like 3 to 4 hours within my work week that I add in wiggle time, where something props up and I didn't know about it and I have to deal with it then and there. I'd really recommend that for your studies as well. Not my advice, it was actually Daisy, the previous activities officer, gave me that tip of advice before I started work, and I was like, my god, this is like the best piece of advice I've ever gotten. So implement wiggle time into a timetable. And the last thing is to remember that actually the exam period is only about a month and a half to 2 months, I think, at most, depending on what course you do. So for a month, it will be awful, and it's so annoying that it's happening in the summer when the sun's out and you just want to sit outside with a snake bite and just chat with your friends. But yeah, so I highly, like, it will be over. Like, remember that, it will be over soon. And yeah, so please make sure you look after yourself during exam time. I hope some of these tips have helped to get you through it. I feel your pain. I've been through it before, 4 years. So I really wish you the best of luck with your exams and getting through it. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.